Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Woody Allen retrospective right here on planettyro.com. I'm your host, Donald Wonder, and I'm joined once again by my lovely co-host, the one, the only, the arsehole of the century, Simon Red.
Well, I'll try to work my way up to the asshole of the universe. You know, might as well expand. But yeah, welcome everybody.
Speaking of which, if you were here last time, guys, we spoke about the Woody Allen, the only Woody Allen animated movie to date, Ant, or as this arsehole likes to call it, Ant Z.
A real title, yes, if you get it.
Whatever. Yeah, I get it. You're an arsehole. If you're on YouTube, guys, look at the top right-hand corner. I'll put a link there so you can go back to that discussion. And of course, we've been doing this Woody Allen retrospective for God knows how long. If you go on the playlist, you'll see over 30 videos. And this is the last, well, we're coming to the last recording of this decade. Look how far we've come, guys. Do not forget, we've actually got the website WoodyAllenRetro.com where everything is there in one single place. We're about to get into a spoiler discussion for our next movie, which is a very beloved movie that I might speak a bit ill of. Simon, you're going to usher us in and then we'll take it from there.
Yo, what happened to what you told me off mic? You said you freaking hate this movie.
That's a lie.
You always keep doing this. See, I can't trust you because what you tell me in the warm-up and what happens on the mic is always different. Like sometimes you're like, man, you know, I need to tell you, I really love this movie. Yeah, like, this is actually one of my favorites, but, you know, I'll build up to it. But just so you know, this is like one of my favorite Woody Allen movies. And then you open up like, this movie sucks. I'm like, well, what kind of bipolar shit is this?
There's no real curveball today. I'm just letting you know, but go ahead.
Speaking of bipolar personalities, that's my little segue here. This is the last movie of the 90s. From 1999, finally, we're here. Not like it was a drag. I think this was a pretty good decade. You know, innovative, experimental, but also a refinement of previous themes. And this movie's the same. It's another fake documentary titled Swingin and LOWDOWN, based on, well, a fictional jazz guitar player from the 1930s played by Sean Penn. Similarly to Zelig, the movie follows his life and why this character is so fascinating, but it's also a theatrical film. So we intercut with Woody Allen himself and a few other experts in a panel commenting on this guy's life. The main character is called Emmett Ray, by the way, but like I said, he's fictional. So none of this stuff ever happened, but they play it straight. Like this is a true historical event, and he was this very important character in the world of music. Because they constantly keep comparing him to the best players of his time and said, oh, this guy had the potential to be one of the greats. He was a absolute genius. And what do you know? He was also a freaking asshole. What a surprise. And that's basically the main premise of the movie. We follow Sean Penn as he goes through different girlfriends, different stages of his life, and learn that he is a really good guitar player, but has plenty of quirks, plenty of flaws. He has issues with relationships, commitment, alcohol, being reliable. He's very selfish, very flaky, and I don't know about you, man, but not a whole lot likable. And don't get me wrong, Sean Penn is an actor I always think can give tremendous performances, really good performances, but in this movie, it's like, hey, I'm Sean Penn with a mustache. I'm an asshole. I'm like, yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Listen, let me say this off the bat. Actually, I think this is a good movie, but the story itself isn't like a pleasant one. Like, when the movie was over, it ends on a downer. And no, Woody Allen does that a lot, but the last scene, the last thing that happens in the movie, it didn't leave me with the happiest emotions. Now, again, I look at this in retrospective and think I like the story idea because, like you said, this is a combination, as Woody likes to go back and use previous ideas. It's a combination of Zelig and Broadway Danny Rose. Right, Broadway Danny Rose, everyone's speaking about this guy and how great this guy was and making up these stories. And then Zelig, they use a documentary format as well. So Woody Allen combines the two. And again, I think this is Woody Allen. One of his like tried and true favorite things type of movies is period pieces. So he ends the decade on a period piece, something he's very well known for, and that's a funny signifier since the 90s have been such a raw modern age for him to go back in time into this is the 30s again, and how many movies he's done in the 30s. So again, I liked all that stuff. The last movie well, a couple movies ago, Celebrity. I wish that was a period piece. So
You finally got what you wanted. Be careful what you wish for. But yeah, you're right. This feels like something that was carried over from the 80s, like an old idea that finally, got to see the light of day.
And it's fine. And honestly, it's fine. But the problem with the movie is Sean Penn's character is another arsehole. Again, we get a string of arseholes. And even though he's an arsehole, I don't dislike him because he's kind of honest about it. He says, his main love interest in this movie is the Samantha Morton's character. I can't remember her name because she's mute. She doesn't speak through the whole movie.
Hattie.
Thank you, Hattie. And again, when you think of the title of the movie, it's so on the nose, sweet and low down. She's sweet and he's low down, dirty, whatever. So, you got the two opposing people and they're together. And, he's just kind of he's mistreating her. I'm not even going to say he's treating her like shit because, he's kind of honest about who he is. I don't fall in love with me and, why are you clinging on to me? And
yeah, but he's also conniving, a little bit. Like
he's a scumbag. He's a pimp. He cheats when he drinks. His pastimes are so silly. He likes shooting fucking rats and looking at trains.
Well, that's the quirkiness of his nature. So that's when they get in that this guy has some issues, but he's also an oddball because he is truly a genius. He has a very natural gifted talent to playing music, and I get what he was doing. You're right. To me, out of Woody Allen loves jazz music. He loves music from the 30s. He did the movie Radio Days, which was very nostalgic. And you said it was kind of like a cartoon. It was like his animated movie, but live action.
That's what he called it, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what he said. And this feels like a very cartoonish again.
Yeah.
Their relationship reminded me of a cartoon, like an old Looney Tunes cartoon or a Disney cartoon where you usually have an older character and a younger character. Either it's like a young boy with like a surrogate dad, or a young child following an adult around, or like a young love interest falling in love with a grumpy or old character, usually cats or whatever, and the older character is selfish and mistreats the younger character, but the younger character keeps following him around like a shadow, and at the end the older character, when he or she, mostly he, made the younger character cry and just completely embarrassed them, then that's when they realize that they were the best thing in my life. After all this time, I really messed up. And that's basically how the story pans out. So I guess if you can't see that, the movie might be more interesting, but here where it's going, and it's kind of hard to watch because Sean Penn's character really mistreats her, and the movie has its charming parts and funny parts, but that aspect of a relationship is just annoying. You're like, you're really mistreating this poor girl and you're being an asshole about it.
It's bad enough that she's so innocent, but I'm gonna use the politically correct words. She seems kind of simple. She's not only mute, but she seems kind of simple. The way he talks to her, why are you writing there? And even the first time they have sex, and that was good, and I was the best, and just get out of there. You gotta leave now, and and the way, and then in the middle of the movie, the way he just, I just had to leave her. She was just too clingy to me. I just went up her one night, I just had to leave her, and I'm just like, look, man, Woody Allen's done arsehole characters before. And here's the thing, I don't even hate this guy because I don't mind people who are arseholes if they're honest. Like you, Simon, you're an honest arsehole, and I appreciate that. So I don't mind if you're going to be arsehole honest, but that's kind of the whole movie. The whole movie is this guy who's his own worst enemy. And let me talk about the characters, because there's one character who tries to be the voice of the audience, and that's Uma Thurman's character. Uma Thurman's character comes as a second love interest through the movie, and she starts talking to him about, you got this repressed love. If you could only open yourself up, and maybe then your music will be better, and you should be stop being so repressed. And it's kind of telling you that this guy's his own worst enemy, and if he could get over his qualms, he could be much more happier. And I like Woody goes for a more realistic ending where he realizes what he missed and it's too late. And the big theme, the massive theme of this whole movie, which Woody Allen's touched on multiple times, and actually, if you really look at it, this is the main thing Woody Allen's trying to say with this movie is talent just comes to whoever. He said this in I forgot the movie. The movie where they're doing the play, the 1994 movie with John Cusack. That movie, Bullets Over Broadway.
Bullets Over Broadway.
Yeah. When was the gangster who had talent.
Peach. I love that name.
Yeah, he had the talent. And it's this guy is a scummy guy, but he's got this talent that is just natural, and there's no reason for it because everything else about this guy is unlikable. He's got a bad character,
he's
bad
a fuck
habits.
up. He's a total fuck up. He can't handle his money. He can't handle his drinking. He can't get his act together. I get it. The character was a cartoon, but I thought he needed more charm around them because those cartoons that this is based on, because he's a very animated character, they have more charm. I think Uma Thurman, her performance was spot on, because she was larger than life. She stole the scene where she basically just entered the frame in this amazing outfit. And then she was just so energetic. And like you said, a voice of the audience. She was almost like an analyst. She was just reading out loud what everybody was thinking. Okay, what's your problem? What are your issues? Maybe you should do this.
And it wasn't corny, that sometimes when characters do that, it's just very obvious, but actually it fit her character, and she was flawed as well. And even her character, the arc, which was very believable, and she was one of the better parts of the movie. And I would like to commend Samantha Morton because she is a good actress. She's a British actress. She's done a lot in Hollywood. She's got a TV show right now on Hulu called Harlots, which again is getting a lot of praise, but she doesn't speak in the movie, and she's kind of like the soft, innocent puppy that keeps her getting kicked. And there's only so much you can watch that and feel like, this is kind of frustrating now. That, but she's simple, so it's not even like she's a masochist. She's just got that kind of mind. And even at the end where she's moved on, at the end of the day, I didn't feel too sorry for her or even hate Sean Penn again. It was just, like you said, it wasn't enough. The whole movie was like, they're just characters and you're just on this ride. And I guess the music and this guy's talent is really what it's meant to be about. And the whole point with that, again, as Woody Allen said himself, I'm a natural comedian, even though I don't want to be. I like writing dramas, but I'm a natural comedian. And this guy, he's a natural musician. Through the movie, you could tell when he plays the songs, even though I don't think it's particularly great, they sound really nice. And every time he plays a song, the actors around just stop. Everyone's mesmerized and they start going into their own minds. Just like, this guy will always be loved just because there's one thing. But at the end of the story, it didn't matter because, as the narrators say, as the onlookers say about him, he just disappeared. And when I think about the movie, it's kind of a good traveling story, like a story that you would tell someone. But as a movie, I'm just like, Woody, I prefer Broadway Danny Rose. Broadway Danny Rose, because that's a character. Okay. This, I don't know, man. It's a good movie. I'm not gonna describe that, but it's just the kind of, I wouldn't call it an abusive relationship. And Sean Penn,
it is kind of abusive because he's definitely taking advantage of her. And that's the thing, where these stories are supposed to make you sad. It's supposed to make you feel really bad for the weaker character, and then you're supposed to have that moment of breakdown where you're like, man, this guy's not so bad. He puts on a rough show, like a rough image, but deep down inside, he does have a good heart, and you're really rooting for them to kind of work it out because they both need each other, and then in a 15-minute format, 10 to 15-minute format, that's perfect. In this movie, they should have expanded it more because, like, here's the thing. Right off the bat, with this guy being this musical genius, the first thing I thought to myself is that he was born in the right decade where black people had it tough to find music contracts, because if there were more black guitarists around at the time, you would not be in the top 10, motherfucker. That's when you had so many white musical geniuses.
You're right, but if they were able to at the time, come on, even if they were talented at that point in time in history, being real. And actually, that's a weird, thanks for bringing it up, because this movie is actually one of Woody Allen's most diverse movies. There's a lot of black people in the movie. In fact, one of the narrators talking about the past is a black man. And the camera's right close up on his shiny face.
See, now you just you went there.
Yeah, I'm black. I can say that.
I thought the man looked very elegant.
He was, but I can say that because
he was bringing the realness. Actually, I thought, okay, because I didn't look up if it was a real documentary or a fake one. So once again, hats off for Woody for conning my ass, because when he started talking, I was like, yeah, this is some fake shit. But then that guy came on screen, and I was like, this guy's legit. Okay, maybe this is based on a real guy.
Maybe it could. I didn't look into it. It could actually, maybe it's one of them stories that could apply to someone. Also a musician, it could apply to someone.
Well, it says it's vaguely based on an old Fellini movie called
Yeah.
Sarda, which is about an abusive relationship where a muscle man, who's on the road and he lives for his profession and crowd and the acclaim, kind of takes this young girl, young gullible girl with him. So that aspect carried over to this film.
Maybe I should talk about, I guess music is a big part of the movie. I thought it was okay. It wasn't super memorable. A lot of there's a lot of diversity in the movie. It's a lot of actually black actors in here. Not lack of note, but there's a lot of black participation in the movie, which again, I appreciate as a black man, and Woody Allen is always getting criticized for that. So that was nice in the movie. The music was adequate. It was fine. The movie has a couple of showpieces. That one scene, which is on the DVD cover, of Sean Penn's character having this dream of coming down on the moon, and that was kind of funny. Oh, and actually, there was one part of this movie I think could have improved the movie a lot, and it was an idea Woody Allen put in the movie right at the end. I was like,
I know what you're gonna say. I was gonna bring that up. That
go ahead, go on. I'll let you say it.
No, yeah. Basically, that I thought, like we hinted on this before, that the movie, because it is a movie, it's not a 15-minute story. They could have spiced it up a bit more. And one of the best ideas was that this guy is such a legend that he keeps getting into these crazy situations, but they didn't do a lot of it. And at the end, they kind of go out on this note where everything escalates to a crazy situation, and then every panelist says, well, I heard it like this,
yes.
or I heard it like this. And so they show the same scene from multiple perspectives,
yes,
with multiple outcomes. And I'm like, I would have loved if the whole movie was like that. And it really goes on to say that, okay, this cartoony character who's supposed to be larger than life always ends up in these crazy situations. Not just every now and then there's a random scene of like, oh, well, he was broke, but he happened to fall through the roof, and the guys making fake money, thought it was a police raid, so they buzzed off, and he got to keep all the fake bills and pay off his debt. I'm like, okay, that's a good one-off, but let's keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
So, missed opportunity.
Exactly. I think Woody dropped the ball on that, because when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, if this movie was about different people saying one is an arsehole, what's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
One element.
Everybody knows him a different way, right?
Yeah.
Everybody heard a different aspect of it. That would have been great. But here's why I disagree with you. You said you preferred Bullets Over Broadway. To me, out of this type of movies,
No. Broadway Danny Rose, I mean, that's what I prefer over this.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, to me, out of those movies, Bullets Over Broadway, Radio Days, and Broadway Danny Rose, I think I preferred this the most. I like this better than those, because I think it was just more entertaining, even with the stuff we complained about. I mean, one of the reasons why you can dislike the relationship so much, because the two actors are so great and they really sell it.
Sure.
And like I said, even though Sean Penn being a douchebag with a mustache is kind of like, the first thing on his CV, still a good performance.
Yeah.
He's captivating. He carries the movie well.
Yeah.
Every now and then when Woody goes into the deeper psychological aspects of, this guy's afraid of this. He has demons. He's, running away from. That's why he can't stay still in a relationship. He has to sabotage himself all the time. Those aspects are good. And if you want to see a really shitty version of this story, the Coen brothers have this movie called Being what was it called? Ryan Lewis or Llewyn Davis or something.
Oh yeah, Llewyn Davis. I remember that.
Yeah, with Justin Timberlake, and who's the guy who's in every movie now? He was in X-Men. He was Apocalypse, and
Isaac something. Oscar Isaac. Yeah, great actor.
Yeah. Great in the movie, but the movie's dog shit, because you hate the main character, nothing happens, and then it just ends like whatever. So that's a really shitty version of this story. Again, about a selfish musician who just screws people over around him. So I thought, definitely a better job on Woody's part. It's just that his great imagination was his own enemy, because as he was making the movie, he kept getting better and better of introducing more interesting ideas. And then the movie just ended. And I'm like, you finished on a really strong note, but it's very predictable. And the best parts were at the end. And I wish you would have done more of it throughout the film.
I think this is one of Woody's, I won't say his darkest endings, but it ends at a really depressing climax. I'm like, okay, let me see some more, because I'm like, don't end here, because this is a little bit too dour, but it just ends. I'm like, damn, Woody, you don't care, do you? You're just gonna let the guy fall on his, fall into misery and the end. I'm like, all right. And Woody's the one that ends it. Woody's face is the last thing you see. He's like, yeah, man, what happened to this guy? He just, he just disappeared.
Yeah.
Fade to credits. I'm like, wow, man, I don't know what to take away from this movie. Look. I'm going to get so much hate, because let me tell you guys, this was such a beloved movie. I remember even back in the day when I was getting to this movie's amazing. People love this movie. To this day, people still talk about this movie. My brother recently was like, oh, this is one of my favorite Woody Allen movies. I know people love this movie, and attested that IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, certified fresh, fans love it. IMDb fans love it. Nominated for 2 Oscars for Sean Penn and Samantha Morton. This is a beloved movie. Looking at it now, I don't love the movie. I think it's a good story. I think it's an interesting story, but as a movie experience, I found it just found a bit uncomfortable through the whole thing because of the relationship thing, and the characters kind of unlikable. I didn't hate anybody, and I appreciated what the movie was doing because it's kind of real, but I was like, I don't know, man. Woody's done similar before. I prefer them over this, but again, this is a decent movie.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, no means a bad film. And I understand it depends, I think that's the takeaway. What is it? Decade 3, right?
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, I know he started off in the 60s, so
yeah.
I guess not 4 decades, but getting there,
Oh yeah,
into Woody Allen's career, that it really depends on when you see one of his films. Like, how many of the previous ones have you seen before you watch a particular film, and at what time? Do you watch it when it came out? Do you watch it years later? Do you watch it, maybe 10 or 20 years later? That influences how you perceive the film. I think when this came out, Sean Penn was in a good place. There was enough hype behind it. And if you haven't watched the movies we referenced, like Broadway Danny Rose, or Zelig or any of that stuff, this movie, again, you were like, wow, this semi-documentary style is a good gimmick. Woody Allen really sells it. I appreciate the detail in the music and the clothes and the other elements that went into the setting it up as a period piece. Again, the costumes were amazing.
They were.
And good performances all around, and a bold interpretation of such a negative character, which is usually told in a much more comfortable, shorter format and a much more comedic format with, like I said, mostly cartoons. That's what it really reminded me of, those 30s cartoons. Yeah. So I can see why you can be impressed. It's just, on its own, it's just a good movie with some really good performances that tells an interesting story in an interesting way. But by this point in time, Woody Allen, his caliber of filmmaking is at such a high level that, this is standard for him. He is that good at this point. So, I prefer some of his other films. But that's me personally. And that's what's good about it. He's diverse enough at this point where he has a solid base of tricks he can throw around to change it up a bit. He did Celebrity before this, which was way more extreme and way more current and much more of a critique of present day society, where this is all about this one character and just analyzing this one character's personality and his flaws and what that means in terms of living life under the human condition and being an artist and all that.
Yeah. And again, you hit on something that I do want to end on, because we are at the end of the 90s. I'm really surprised. People claim that the 90s is one of Woody Allen's, if not Woody Allen's, worst decade. And I don't know why, because I thoroughly enjoyed this.
They're fucking crazy.
No, honestly. And here's the thing. I know why. Because this movie, the reason why I think this movie is so loved, because honestly, this is classic Woody Allen. The period piece, the characters. As you said, this is Woody Allen in the 80s, one of his most beloved decades. And he ends the 90s on this movie. And all through the movies that we reviewed over the 90s, we enjoyed them. But critics were 50-50 over most of them, except for like Deconstructing Harry and Husbands and Wives. Those two like standouts. Everything else, people were like,
those two are untouchable. Yeah. I would argue his best films in this decade.
100% in his filmography, top 5 anyway. So, but people didn't like the 90s, and this movie ends it like, oh, return to Woody, return into that classic Woody we love. So I was kind of like, when I saw this movie, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the one where he goes back to his old ways. So I was like, I'm going to miss the 90s Woody, because I'm going to tell you, the next decade, Woody tries to get back in his comedy phase for a bit. So that's going to be a laugh. Guys, again, if you, and I know I'm going to get hate for this one because this one is so beloved. Guys, if you disagree with myself or Simon Rad, or you have an alternative opinion with some of those alternative facts we love in this Trump era, let us know in the comments down below. Simon Rad, thank you for joining me in this one as always.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Again, another movie I haven't seen, so gathering a lot of Woody Allen knowledge, which I enjoy.
And more importantly, another decade down the goddamn drain. We're getting there, Simon. We are getting there. Getting to the 2000s now, guys. Thanks for sticking with us for so long. If you've been listening on the podcast, we want to thank you, all the YouTube listeners, the comments, the feedback, the Reddit group, our boy, our friend Danny at the Woody Allen pages. You know, I do wish, Danny, that we had your book so we could read some of those facts. I do miss those facts, but guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put a link on the screen. Check out the Woody Allen pages, the Woody Allen fan sites for all the true Woody Allen fans. But it's time for us to get the hell out of here, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. I'm running out of breath. So, guys, I will see you on the next recording.
Peace.